Hey, today we're doing lesson 2.7, interpreting the remainder. So our goal today is to know how to interpret or to make sense of the remainder and the quotient and how it will fit into the situation. All right, our first problem is this. Miss Farron, that's me, and her friends want to hike a trail that is 1,365 miles long. We are going to hike this in equal parts in 12 different hiking trips. So what we need to know is how many miles will we hike on each trip. So I'm going to set this up just like a regular division problem. So I'm going to do 12 as my divisor and 1,365 as my dividend. And I'm just going to go ahead and divide. 12 will not divide into 1, but will divide nicely into 13 one time. So there's my 1 times 12 is 12. Subtract. I have 1 left. Bring down my 6. 12 will divide nicely into 16 one time. 1 times 12 is 12. Subtract that. I have 4. Bring down 5. 12 will divide into 45 3 times. 12s we're probably familiar with. So 12, 24, 36, that's 3 times. Subtract 3 times 12 is 36. And then that gives me 9 left over. So my quotient, how we're used to writing it, there is 113 remainder 9. Now with miles, I can split that up. So I know that, for example, every trip is going to be 113 miles, which that is a lot of miles on each trip. What are we thinking? Oy, maybe we need to rethink this trip. So every trip will be 113 miles, but then we have these 9 miles left over. So for miles, I'm going to make that into a fraction. And how I do that is I take my remainder, which is 9, and that becomes my numerator, my number on top, and then my divisor is 12, and that becomes my denominator. So this means that we are hiking on each of these 12 trips, if we're hiking equal amount, 113 and 9/12 miles. Now, if you are remembering your fractions, I know it's been a while, we can simplify 9/12 into 3/4. So we're hiking 113 and 3/4 miles on each of these 12 trips. The segment of the Appalachian Trail that runs through Pennsylvania is 232 miles long. We're rethinking our 1,365 mile trip. Just maybe going to do the 232 mile section. So we want to only hike 9 miles each day. We're thinking 113 for the trip is a lot. So we're going now just to hiking 9 miles. So my division problem is going to be 232 divided by 9. So I'm going to just divide that out. And then look at that, 1-digit divisors. That will be nice. That's going to go into 20. 9's going to go into 23 2 times. Subtract 18. I get 5 left. Bring down my 2. 9 will divide into 52 5 times. And then subtract 45, and that will give me 7. Okay, now this time I have some questions to look at as I'm thinking about my quotient. So keeping this information in mind, let's look at the questions. How many days will we hike exactly 9 miles? So our quotient is telling us that we will be hiking 9 miles exactly for 25 days. That was this whole number part of our quotient. So we know that 25 days we'll be hiking 9 miles. How many miles will we hike on the last day? So for that, I'm going to look to my remainder, and that's what that 7 means, is that it's that 7 miles left. So we will be hiking 7 miles on the last day. And then the next question says, how many days will it take to hike that 232 mile section? So I kind of have to think about this. I know 25 days will be that 9 miles, but then I have one more day where it's going to be 7. So if I kind of combine that, that is going to be 26 days that it will take. 25 will be the 9 miles, and then one day will be 7 miles. Okay, it is time for you to practice. The division isn't so hard on this. It's more just the thinking through the remainder part. So go ahead and work on these two problems. I will be here and I'll talk through the responses to these when you are ready to listen. Okay, so for this problem, I went ahead and divided 98 delicious cookies divided by 28 students, which sounds really familiar. I'm not sure where I got those numbers from, 28 students. So I divided, I got 3 remainder 14. What this is telling me then is that each student can get 3 whole cookies. But then there are these 14 cookies left over. Well, cookies are definitely shareable, and they should be shared. So I'm going to make my 14 into a fraction. So 14 is going to become my numerator, and then my divisor is 28. That is going to become my denominator. Okay, now some of you are probably looking at that like, hey, we can simplify that. And yes, we can. 14 is exactly half of 28. So that means that each student gets 3.5 cookies. Delicious. Okay, went ahead and divided on this problem 103 students eating lunch divided by 4 seats per table. And I got 25 remainder 3. So let's take a look at the questions next. How many students are sitting at the table which is not full? And that's going to be where we look at our remainder. And so that means that 3 students are sitting at that table that is not full. How many tables are full? That's going to be my quotient. 25 tables have 4 students in them. So 25 tables there. Okay, this last question is where I put that idea together and I say how many tables are there total? Well, 25 of them are full, but then I have 1 table with 3 students. So that means that there are 26 tables total. Again, not really super hard division, just you got to think about what those remainders mean and how to answer questions about it depending on the situation. Okay, in class tomorrow we have some fun ways to practice this, so I'm looking forward to that a lot. So make sure that you mark your understanding right here and write something to share with us tomorrow. And have a great evening. We'll see you in class.